Thanks very much. We'll be watching you in the White House press room. Jackie Heinrich joining us at the White House. Joining me right now is New York Congressman and House Homeland Security Committee ranking member John Katko. Congressman, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for being here. What do you make of these new sanctions? How has the war impacted U.S. Homeland Security? And do you have any knowledge in terms of the investment in Russian companies and why they're still sitting in investor portfolios as we speak?
Right. Good morning, Maria, and thanks for having me on again. Yeah, look at what's going on in Ukraine right now. It seems like we're reacting instead of acting, and these sanctions come on the heels of what we saw was unspeakable tragedies and atrocities being committed in Ukraine. And why are we waiting until these atrocities happen before we ratchet up the sanctions? Now, I think you just mentioned a big loophole. There's indexes that they're still trading on and companies that they're still trading on. We're not closing the loophole. We're not closing the loophole either with respect to energy in Ukraine. And it's really going to affect us long term, and it's going to affect this war long term. And as far as the impact in the U.S., we are more vulnerable than ever to cyber attacks. Russia is one of the primary and premier cyber attackers in the world, and we got to be ready for that as well. So this is going to come to the homeland. There's no question about it. And the more we can do to punch them in the nose now, the more we can maybe stop these atrocities from happening. And dripping them out like we're doing, and dripping out the weapons assistance and saying no instead of saying yes, that's not going to work.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, these sanctions seem to have no teeth to me because investors are still invested in these companies. So, when are we actually going to start really focusing on arming Ukraine? Poland said it's got the jets, the MiG-29s. It's ready to send them to a U.S. facility. But the Pentagon was surprised by that. Should Ukrainians get those MiG jets?
Listen, we should do everything except send U.S. troops there. And that means allowing Poland to send jets to Ukraine. Why are we even getting involved in that? Let them do it. Let them get there. Let them help these people. How much more are we going to watch on TV of these people being slaughtered before we do the things we can do? And we've been asking for, well before the war started, for we, the Republicans, to try and get lethal aid to Ukraine in advance of the invasion, not after the fact. And why are we even waiting now for any of this is insane to me.
Well, you say this is going to hit the homeland of America. We've already seen major hits to the homeland, given the southern border is wide open. Now we see that Senate Republicans are pushing to include an amendment to reinstate Title 42 in a $10 billion COVID relief package. Where are you on that? Here's Press Secretary Jen Psaki on this yesterday. Watch.
Decisions on Title 42 should remain independent of the urgently needed funding for COVID aid. I mean, this is a decision made by the CDC. It's a public health decision. It's not one that should be wrapped up, of course, in politics. And the decisions made by the CDC is where it should belong as it relates to Title 42.
Well, it sounds like she doesn't know what she's talking about Title 42, but I know that the House passed 2 Republican Homeland Security bills yesterday, Congressman. What do you want to say about Title 42 going away?
Listen, Title 42, Title 42 was used by President Trump. It's been on the books for years. It's to prevent diseases from spreading in the U.S. from outside the U.S., right? One of those diseases or virus is COVID. We still have to wear masks on airplanes. We still have to, they're still asking for more aid for the COVID relief issues. They're still concerned about the COVID issues nationwide, yet we're going to say there's no COVID issue at the border, come on in. That's incredible. And what's going to happen on the border once Title 42 is revoked is we're going to lose complete operational control at the border. Border Patrol agents have told us in the last few days, I've met with Mr. McCarthy, 5,000 is in operational control. They expect as many as 18,000 people a day coming across the border once Title 42 is lifted, which is crazy.
18,000 people a day. And our Border Patrol agents are supposed to apprehend 18,000 people a day. I mean, that you're not even talking about the gotaways. You're not even talking about the illicit narcotics.
Right.
So do we have the number of people in terms of Border Patrol agents to handle 18,000 people a day?
No, like the head of the Border Patrol Agents Association told us a couple days ago when I met with leadership on the Republican side and all of them, they told us 5,000 a day they can probably handle. After that, they start losing operational control. And when Title 42 is revoked, they expect as many as 18,000 people a day, which is more than triple with the maximum that they can handle. And what's going to happen is the border communities are going to be inundated. They're just going to release these people into the community, and we're going to have real chaos at the border. And I think the Democrats are going to have a lot of answering to do coming down the road.
All right. We will be watching, Congressman. Thanks very much. John Katko joining
sure.
us in D.C. this morning. We'll check in soon. Thank you, sir. We'll be right back.